Energy is arguably one of the most important resources in Zenless Zone Zero. Almost every activity uses energy, and that's also how you get most of the materials that you need to upgrade your characters. It also gives you account XP that will level you up to unlock other farming stages. Now, normally energy is on a timer, but there are things called ether batteries which give you 60 energy when used. These are rather limited as you can only get these from the battle pass and when your account level increases. Or you can hope that miHoYo are generous and give some out for free, which has only happened like once so far. So if you've been playing for a while, you likely have quite a few of these ether batteries stocked up. And now the question becomes, what are you saving them for? And maybe you haven't actually asked that question yourself. Like honestly, right now, I'm asking you, how many batteries do you have saved up and when do you plan on using them? In fact, go ahead and leave your answer in the comments down below. Also, maybe while you're down there, consider liking and subscribing too. But anyway though, today we're going to talk about the two main arguments of when you should be using batteries, as well as the pros and cons for each argument. So like I said, there are two sides of the battery discussion. The first is to use them right away, and the second is to save them for later. First, let's go over the save them for later argument. I'm sure by now you've seen many videos about the most efficient way to spend your stamina and stuff like that. But if you haven't, the TLDR is that at lower account levels, the rewards for various energy related stages, these all give more rewards when you're at a higher account level. So the thought process behind saving these batteries is that it's a waste if you spend them on the quote-unquote less efficient stages. It's mostly with regards to routine cleanups, since with other materials like agent upgrade materials, you can still craft up purple materials using other lower variants, but with routine cleanups, the RNG grindfest of getting that perfect S-rank disc could take ages. So why wouldn't you want to use your batteries on the stages where you're guaranteed more discs? And I mean, this does make sense, but there's a big flaw in this logic. You see, until you get to those higher account levels, where the more efficient stages are unlocked, you're going to have to spend energy on these less efficient stages anyway. So it doesn't matter if you use only natural energy or battery energy, you're going to have to do these stages one way or another, even though they are quote-unquote less efficient. And then that brings us to the other argument of spending them sooner rather than later, which has almost the exact opposite argument as saving them. By using the ether batteries early, you can spend more energy to upgrade your account level faster, which means unlocking the more efficient stages sooner. And then you can spend your natural stamina on these more efficient stages. This argument also has a downside similar to the previous one, and it's especially accurate for those of you who have either just started playing recently or for those of you who haven't gotten fully developed teams yet, which is I think quite a few people. The game is still relatively new after all, and that issue is that by saving these batteries, you could be slowing down your account progress twofold actually. One, because you aren't using extra energy to get more materials, and two, the energy that you do get you're using on these lower efficiency stages. So this could make trying to clear something like the higher levels of Shiyu defense stages a little bit difficult, which could mean less rewards. Now those two are the more apparent arguments and they're the most applicable right now and always essentially, but there are some other arguments that I think are a bit less prevalent, but a lot harder to really enforce as they're sort of unpredictable as to when exactly these arguments can be applied. First, for the spend batteries argument, we recently had an event where you could get double disc drops for 2 runs per day. Now in this scenario, people who spent their batteries early to get to unlock those higher levels had a clear advantage. If you were at level 45 to 50, you were guaranteed 4 gold discs. But if you were over level 50 by the time that event had come around, you could have a chance to get 6 discs in a single run. But again though, events like this don't happen very often, and by the time this happens again, maybe, who knows, everyone would already be at level 50 then, so it sort of evens out. On the other side, as for the saving argument, we are supposed to be getting, supposedly, 2 new disc sets in patch 1.2. And also typically, when new characters are introduced, it's very likely that they could make use of a new type of purple material from expert challenges. In fact, we have seen this happen already now with the 1.1 characters and the Rampant Brute new expert challenge boss. This means that it's a bit more difficult to pre-farm for these characters, as you won't have the time to sort of get a stockpile of these resources that you would need to just willy-nilly go and upgrade anybody as soon as you get them. And so if you save batteries, as soon as these new farmable things are unlocked and become available, you can then immediately dive in without having to wait. So like for example, if the new disc set comes out, then you can already have like 100 runs ready to go to try and get those perfect 6 discs that you want. This is a little bit more expected as we do know that miHoYo has been doing this for most of their games, but also it doesn't happen that often. It happens like every other patch or so. Now you might hear these two arguments arguments and already be invested in one or the other because of the very reasons I just mentioned. But I'm about to blow your mind and show you that for the most part, the reasonings for both arguments are basically completely wrong. Strap in because it's time for some math. This is your warning, there's going to be some numbers and some spreadsheets. So let's run a little thought experiment and pretend that you just got to account level 48. You still have 2 levels to go to unlock the most efficient farming stages, and also you have 20 batteries. Now, you want to farm agent certification seals in preparation for some new units on an upcoming banner. First, let's set some ground rules. Every day you will get 300 stamina, including the daily coffee, and you'll also do the daily assignments that grant 600 XP. Every week you do 3 notorious hunts and the weekly assignment that gives 300 XP as well. To get from level 48 to 50, it takes 29,810 EXP. Now, you have 2 options. On the left, we farm with just natural energy until we unlock the most efficient stage, and then we use 5 batteries per day. On the right, we use 5 batteries a day early to get to level 50 quickly. Then we farm the higher efficiency stages with our natural stamina for the rest of the time period, for the same amount of days on both sides. We're also going to assume that for each 20 energy spent, you get the average amount of rewards. And by average, no, I do not mean saying that you get 1 purple drop every 2 runs in the level 40 stage, because I can tell you for a fact that anyone who has farmed these stages knows that it is not a 50-50 drop rate. This is where I would like to thank Potato Farm 777 because they actually collected the data to find out what the drop rates are for agent certification seals and other farming stages. And we can see that the level 40 stages have an 18% purple drop rate, while at level 50 they are guaranteed. Now, despite this discrepancy in drop rates, you'll see that it largely won't matter. On the left, where we save batteries, you can see that you'll spend a week farming the level 40 stages, getting pretty low drop rates, and then at level 50, there's a big increase because now obviously you're using those batteries on higher efficiency stages. Meanwhile, on the right, we get to level 50 after only 4 days, and we get a more consistent higher amount throughout the rest of the period. But here's the thing though, at the end of the day, you end up with the same amount of materials once you tally the scores up. The only difference is that using the batteries early meant getting a higher level earlier, and possibly allows you to upgrade your character sooner, if you are in a rush for whatever reason. Like for example, let's say again, Shiyu Defense is ending within 5 days and you want to rush there to get to level 50 quickly. But at the end of the day though, once all batteries are spent on either side, it's the exact same, and this makes sense. Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to have to spend stamina either way, one way or the other. So the whole battery argument is less of being more efficient or not efficient, and more of just like using a time machine almost. However, I did kind of lie to you. There is something I left out of these calculations, and that is the daily 1 card increase from the coffee. The double drop at higher levels are definitely better since you're guaranteed a purple, so that means you'll be guaranteed another purple drop. But on the lower level stages, double of nothing is still nothing. So if we now update this to include the daily coffee double drop on one of the cards, you'll see that it honestly doesn't change much. Yes, technically speaking, using a batteries early does end up getting you more rewards in the end because of the reason I just mentioned, but at the end of the day, it is just for one single 20 stamina card. But I suppose if you only do 1 stamina card per day anyway, maybe then it makes a difference. So the moral of the story here is that honestly, don't worry too much about it. There's nothing wrong with saving or spending, since in the grand scheme of things, it likely doesn't matter, at least when it comes to the whole farming the efficient stages earlier or later. As for these other arguments about, the events where you get double drop rates and the new disc sets or new farmable items, those are apparent, but they aren't really reliable as we don't really know when exactly things like this are going to happen, like these new events or these new items to farm. I will say though, the only wrong thing to do is to never spend these batteries at all, because then obviously you get neither of the benefits, right? You don't get the extra energy, you don't get the extra account XP, you don't get the extra rewards, nothing. Don't be like me who hoarded hundreds of golden apples back in Fate's Grand Order because I was told, you need to do that so you can farm the events, only to drop the game having barely spent any of my like 900 apples. Honestly speaking now, if you want my opinion, I'll tell you what I did myself. I spent some ether batteries in the level 40s range to get to account rank 50, so that I could get my agents to level 60, since I was struggling a bit to clear Shiyu Defense. But now that I am level 50, I very rarely use ether batteries. However, and I think this is honestly the most important part, sometimes when I'm farming in-game, I just feel like playing more. I enjoy the combat in Zenless Zone Zero, and spending batteries to farm more, play more of the game, and get some more rewards, it's literally like quite literally a quick little dopamine boost, which I think is how you should handle these batteries too. They are there to be used. If you feel like playing more, use a battery. Don't worry about, oh no, but I need to save this for when I really need it though. No, what you need to do is to have fun in the game, and if using a battery to play more will do that for you, then go for it. But as always though, I am not your father, so you don't have to listen to what I tell you to do, just take it as a friendly suggestion. Once again though, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, why not consider subscribing to the channel? Next week I'll be uploading a video of my pulls for Jane Doe and Seth, so if you turn on the notifications, you'll also be notified as soon as that video goes live. Until then though, why not watch some of my other videos? And until next time, bye bye.